Before this video begins, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Also, be sure to check out my affiliates down below so you can get discounts on different products and mods. Alrighty, let's get into the review. Hello and welcome. Today we are reviewing a 2023 Ford Mach-E GT. This is an all-wheel drive model with the extended range battery and upgraded E all-wheel drive system. I would like to thank Flood Ford Lincoln in Narragansett, Rhode Island, for allowing me to both review and test drive this vehicle. I'll be performing a POV test drive coming out soon on the channel with this vehicle, so make sure to check out for that. Also, before we begin, I personally hate to call this a Mustang. It does have the pony logo. It technically is a Ford Mustang Mach-E, but I'm a purist, I'm a car enthusiast, say what you want. I don't think this is a Mustang or deserves a Mustang name, although it does seem to be an awesome vehicle overall. So, I will not be calling this a Mustang, but that is just my choice, say whatever you like. But in this and the POV test drive, I will not call this a Mustang. It will just be a Mach-E. Alrighty, so this is finished in space white metallic with a black leather and ActiveX interior. This classifies as a 2-row small SUV with seating for 5. This has a curb weight of around 4,920 pounds. This has the upgraded motor setup and electric battery, so this is a 91 kilowatt hour battery with dual electric motors, producing an output of 480 horsepower and 600 pound-feet of torque, for a Ford reported 0 to 60 time of around 3.8 seconds. This is mated with a single-speed direct drive transmission and has a range of around 270 miles. Lower trim Mach-E's that are not a GT have longer ranges, but that is the trade-off because of the great performance and power found here. This is again an all-wheel drive model and achieves 90, 77, and 84 mpgE combined. This rides on 20-inch aluminum wheels with 245 wide tires all around. You get front ventilated disc brakes and solid discs in the rear. Red painted brake calipers are also present here from the factory in the GT trim level. As for safety, you get blind spot monitoring, lane departure alert with lane keep assist, rear cross traffic alert, evasion assist, and auto high beams. This measures in at 186.7 inches long, 74.1 inches wide without the mirrors, 63.5 inches tall, and has 5.7 inches of ground clearance. The base Mach-E has around 270 horsepower, while this one sits far higher at the aforementioned 480 horsepower. This competes in a currently small segment of sporty electric SUVs, such as the Kia EV6, Audi Q4 e-tron, Hyundai Ioniq 5, and the Tesla Model Y. This rides on 4-wheel sport-tuned independent suspension, with struts up front and coil springs in the rear. This GT rides about half an inch lower than the regular Mach-E. Up front, this Mach-E has active grille shutters to allow and control more airflow reaching the dual motors. Those sit behind the frunk or front trunk. Also on the grille, the pony badge is illuminated in the GT trim level. This grille itself is specific also to the GT, since the standard Mach-E has a body color painted front fascia. Turn signals here are sequential, just like in the Ford Mustang, front and rear, which is a nice nod to Ford heritage, including it here, though I politely refuse to call this a Mustang. Although this does seem to be a pretty cool vehicle. Inside the Mach-E, similar to some other Ford vehicles, this has 4G Wi-Fi hotspot, along with a B&O sound system. The Mach-E has heated side mirrors that are also power folding. The Ford Mach-E actually only comes with one key fob, and that's because Ford has an app on your smartphone to unlock and start the vehicle, and that app also lets you roll up and down the windows at your choice. The door handles are definitely unique on this car, because there are actually none. This is run by digital push buttons on the side of your car, and on the front doors it does give you a small grab handle. It actually has a soft open feature type of opening, but can't be closed in this position. So when you push the button like that, you can't just close it. You have to fully open it then and close it from there if you accidentally did that. On the driver's door, this SUV does have a keypad like on most Ford vehicles, so if your phone ever dies, you do have a quick open still possible. The rear door actually has no handle, but Ford decided that most people grab the point on the door frame instead of adding another handle, so they added a rubber pad to grab and show where to open it. Inside, this car is prepared for self-driving tech with a small screen below the digital gauge cluster that monitors you looking forward so you don't need to even touch the steering wheel, like in some earlier and still common self-driving systems. All around the gauge screen is actually a giant speaker for the B&O system, so that looks really nice, finished in a fabric, and it feels nice and homey and peaceful to look at. One major gripe I have with this car is the lack of a front trunk or frunk engineering. I will explain that shortly, but there is no access through the app, no access from the single key fob, and no simple button outside for accessing that. So I'll go through that momentarily. And let's have a step outside. All right, so here on the front of the Mach-E, you do get that GT distinctive grille right there, and the grille shutters are actually not right here in the grille. They're gonna be right here and right here. So these two slats can actually open, and they're open right now. As you can see, I can put my hand right there. Don't know where the fans are, not gonna go too far, but those are open right now. When you turn the car off, those actually close. Those 3 shutters right there. So that will allow airflow through some channels deeper inside, around the front trunk, to get into the dual motors. Over here you get functional vents on each side. So those are functional. They don't pull as much air as you may expect probably. Towards the engine they are a bit more aerodynamic, but they are real vents, so that is cool. Here in the GT trim you also do get this front spoiler, so it looks a little bit sportier and pretty nice. And here's that Pony logo. It is illuminated. In the front and the rear you do get LED lighting set up, so that is good. And let me turn on the blinker right here, or turn signal indicator, just to show you what the sequential looks like. So it looks pretty similar to Mustangs of past, but this it's a nice LED bar. It's a nice gradual one. And then in the rear it does follow a more traditional 1, 2, 3 Mustang setup over here. So doobie-doo, 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 that kind of a thing for a sequential blinker setup. Then over here on the corner profile, here are your wheels. These are GT specific wheels. I don't hate them. I think they look a little bit budget though. They could have done a little better on these wheels. They don't have too many variations, so I don't love them that much. They do help with aerodynamics because they have so many closed areas and just 5 open spokes, but I don't particularly like these. However, you do get the red brake calipers. Those are straight from the factory, so that's pretty cool. They look good in my opinion. And you get 245 tires all around. These are 20-inch alloy wheels. Over here, you do get a dual panel, well, technically a single panel, sunroof. So that's going to be like a panoramic sunroof, very large. It does not move and it does not fold though, because of the curvature of it. It follows most of the roof line, so they could not get any power movement into that. Over here, you get a little bit of an interesting badge. It just says Mach-E 4X. It doesn't say GT, it doesn't say Mach-E GT. It's a little hard to distinguish any kind of a Mach-E from the other, because besides the wheels right here, it looks just about the same. Not bad, I like the styling, but I wish they did a lot more to distinguish this, because even myself, I can't really spot a GT except for simply this badge here on the rear that says GT. That is the only way, and these wheels technically. Over here, I like the rear design. It does like a spillover effect. It continues the gloss black going down into the tailgate with a little bit of a spoiler. Most crossover hatchback electric vehicles right now, they're a little bit similar in their styling in the rear. They all have this long scoop at almost like a 45, a long shelf and degree of angle, but I think it looks nice, and it looks better here than a sharp angular way. I like that spillover effect, and then it comes back into body color. I think it makes it look less sharp and concept-like. I like it. Here in the rear, you get some Mustang-esque lights. Once again, I won't call this a Mustang, but it does look pretty good if you are going for that heritage. And you get a nice gloss black bumper. I think it all looks pretty good here. Maybe just a little too square, rectangular of a rear tailgate right here. Maybe they could have done a little bit different shape. It just doesn't seem to fit as well with the rest of it, but overall it looks okay. Some nice body lines. For your fender flares, they are body color. I think that looks really good. And I do like this little design piece here, this gloss black they include. That little like bowing effect where, you know, it thins back out. I really do like that. If it were a straight line, I think it would look bad, but I think they did it very well, adding that curvature to it. And for the side profile, it looks a lot like most crossover electric vehicles right now, but I think this one looks a lot more sleek and sporty than the others. The BZ4X, for example, not trying to be sporty from Toyota, but it just looks a lot chunkier and a lot heavier. It doesn't look aerodynamic or sleek, really, in many ways, but this looks very smooth, very rounded out. Not too rounded out, though, because you can see some distinct body lines, so I like that. And then over here is going to be your charge port, so if you pop that open like so, you get your standard charge port. And here are going to be, first off, I'll go over the frunk actually. So also here's your door handle. So I'll do these more in a moment, but you open it like so. So up here is going to be your front trunk. What you would assume is that, you know, there's a push button here or something to lift it. No, there is none of that. You can't open it like that. I mentioned before, a lot of people don't use their single key fob, they use their smartphone for this. If you pull out your phone, there is no way to open this. So you figure, okay, well, your one and only key fob, of course it's going to be the only way to open your front trunk. There is no front trunk button. Ford, I don't know what you're doing, but this is a big fail and a big afterthought and a very common thing, because a lot of people in vehicles, last I checked, they use the trunk. Yes, this has a trunk, but this is another trunk. Why would you not include any way except what I'm doing now? You have to step back into the vehicle. Think, if you have groceries in your hand especially, think, if you have groceries, you have to go like this, you have to dig through, you have to make sure your car is unlocked, either through your phone or through the key fob. Do this, open it up, and you have to do this. You have to pull it as if it's a hood latch, a physical hood, not a front trunk. And then you have to open it, and you also have to do it twice, apparently. So that's always great. Just like a hood, you have to pull it twice. Showing you in real world use how annoying this is. Open it up. It's an okay sized frunk, nothing giant. But another thing on top of that, so there's no way to open it except going in there and doing it twice. So that's very inconvenient. No handle, no key fob, no app. Then, if you close it like a normal amount like this, you think it's closed. And it's like a hood, you could just push it down harder when it doesn't fully close. No, you can't do that. You have to go back here again. You have to unlock it twice again. And then you lift it again. And then you have to slam it. And now it's closed. This is the dumbest thing I have seen of any front trunk. It's supposed to be usable. It is nothing close to convenient. It's just a massive flop, in my opinion. I am very angry about that. It is very stupid, the lack of engineering on the front trunk, of all things, of having it able to open either by your phone, by your fob, by a handle. But no, you have to unlock the car, you have to pull it twice, and even when you close it, it's a pain because you usually have to walk back again unless you slam it, which is not going to be great in the long term for the hinges. So yeah, it is a giant flop right there from Ford, in my opinion, on the Mach-E. I think it's very ridiculous. But onto brighter, greener pastures. This does have interesting door handles, as you can see. There are no door handles from a bystander's perspective, but if you look closely, it has a little push button here and a push button here. So and also it does have a number pad right here because it's a Ford. So right here, what it does, this is not a fingerprint sensor, although it may look like one. You push it. It has a little soft open feature. However, you can't close the door again like this. You have to open it fully again, kind of like the frunk. Open it again. Now I can close it because it has a little soft opening thing. But here they put a door handle on the front doors, so that's pretty good to grab onto. In the rear, they actually didn't. So in the rear, what they found out is it has, again, the soft close. You can't close it like that. Soft open, sorry. There is no handle, but since, as you saw, I grab it here, they just figured out that everyone grabs it here instead of the handle anyway, so they put a rubber pad in here. I guess it works. I guess it was well studied, so that's fine. Just very interesting. And this little handle does not hurt aerodynamics, supposedly. So that's interesting, but not bad in my opinion. They're not finicky so far, so that's good. And you have the number pad if you need it. Here, stepping in, you do get the Mustang GT side step. Actually, I'm not calling this a Mustang, but that's fine. Here for your door frame, you do your door overall, your driver's door, sorry. Over here, you do get power folding mirrors, which is cool. So at the push of a button, you can fold your mirrors like so, or open them again. And those are power mirrors on both sides. You get your blind spot monitoring in those. Here you get a B&O sound system. I like the interior of this. This has a black ActiveX, leather, and a copper trim around here. So, and in the stitching as well. It's very, very nice. Here is hard plastic, but otherwise all of this is soft padded, Alcantara type material, called ActiveX. I guess that's the brand. And then over here, it does have a pretty interesting type of door handle. So it's not like the F-150 where you pull this way towards you. You actually pull backwards and then it opens. So it's physical. Doesn't seem like it's going to break, so that's good. And then over here for your main interior, you get those seats. Yeah, they look pretty good in my opinion. They have a very nice set of design changes and variation. Then stepping inside here to the left of your steering wheel, you just you just get light controls. All right, Here you get a fully digital gauge cluster, as expected, in an electric vehicle, and a modern Ford. Most of them are digital. Here's going to be that little screen I was talking about. So this is preparing it for when self-driving is more approved in higher levels, different systems. So then this can monitor you with pretty high accuracy, supposedly. So you don't have to hold your hand on the wheel like in current driving systems, self-driving systems, where it's going to yell at you and beep at you and vibrate the wheel and do everything until you can do, put your hands back on the wheel. So you'll be able to sit back, in theory sleep, hopefully not. That's up to the government. We'll figure that out. But this is prepared for future self-driving capabilities, similar to Tesla. So that's good. I think they did a lot of good things there. For your steering wheel here, it's a relatively sporty steering wheel. Has a nice brake right here in the leather for another piece. Okay, bolsters, good size, and pretty nice leather. Feels nice in hand. The steering in here, even just sitting still, is extremely light, so that's going to be interesting to test when I drive it, see if it stiffens up in another driving mode, but we will see. And then for your wheel itself, I think it's pretty simple. I like it, the design here. It's not too many buttons, and they're pretty simple to figure out what everything does, so that is good. Here you get what I believe is a 15 or a 15.2 inch infotainment screen, similar to in the Ford F-150 Lightning and the, I believe Ford Focus ST had the, Ford Explorer ST, I believe also had this large screen. This does have a Ford Sync 4 system, and I think it works pretty well. I like Sync 4 overall. Pretty good response. It's a little confusing to figure out because this does so many things. So right now it's controlling the audio volume. If I tap here, you're controlling the temperature of the climate system. And then if you tap here with this little fan icon, you're controlling the fan speed for your climate. So it's doing a lot at one time, but it seems to be relatively okay. I could see some older folks having trouble with this, but not as much as with some other systems. Over here, if you go home, you get, of course, navigation. You get Apple CarPlay in here and Android Auto. And yeah, you get a lot of interesting stuff. You also get Sketch, which I've never seen. So, hello. I guess you can take notes in your car. Honestly, it's not a terrible idea. I've just never seen this, so that's pretty cool. All right, so back to business. So this does have a heated steering wheel, and the front two seats are going to be heated as well, so that is nice. These seats are a really cool type of design. They're very sporty because they have pretty good side bolsters. Even thigh bolsters are pretty good, but especially on the sides. They have a nice copper trim, a lot of Alcantara feeling. I believe this is the ActiveX material, and because of that, you feel very good in these seats, pretty comfortable. Not a ton of adjustments. You actually only get two-way lumbar support. Ford does this with a lot of vehicles. They should be doing four-way lumbar support in their lower, not even the lower, but just in other vehicles than they're doing it in. This is nearing $63,000, I believe this is stickering at right now. So it's not a bad price, but it just should include that, in my opinion. Get four-way lumbar support, because you're finding it in some Toyotas and similar stuff, so at lower prices. This giant fabric thing across here, this is actually your speaker system from B&O, so I think it looks really cool. This car in some ways has some vibes similar to the old BMW i3, the little boxy thing, because it was inside basically like a mix of fabric and colors, and it felt like a living room in a good way. So yeah, I like this little design, all the way wrap around through, another speaker there, and then your main digital gauge cluster is still visible right there. Down below that, you get a Qi wireless charging system. You get a USB Type-C and Type-A port. You get two cup holders. A little bit of cheap feeling plastic here, though. It's one little touch on the edge here of gloss black, but then the rest is just a little boring plastic right here. I wish they did a little bit different there. However, the rest of this, what you're touching, feels very nice. So here's your shifter. It's going to be a dial shifter. If you pop into reverse here, you get a 360 camera and a rear view camera. Pretty high quality, which is good. And then over here you get your parking brake, and this is going to be nice leather and stitched, so that's very good. Here you get a GT badge embossed into here. You lift it like so. This is a little bit non-traditional, but your storage cubby is actually down here. So you lift this as like your armrest separately. This does not open to my knowledge, but then down here is where you get your 12-volt and your deeper storage cubby under the slider. It's interesting. Gives you another rack of storage. This does feel extremely sturdy if you like hit it right here, so this can definitely hold a ton of weight. And then it does become a more traditional one with a coin slot and stuff down there. I like that. You get a nice frameless mirror up here. Let's check the visors. See how far they slide. Yeah, they cover completely the entire window. That's great. So that's a pass. Here you get your gigantic sunroof. It's a stationary sunroof, doesn't move, no power, no slide, no tilt, but you also can't adjust the tint of it. So if it were an extremely sunny day like it is today, I could see that being a problem. I wish they had some kind of adjustment for it, or even just a slider thing that you could do, like another sunshade or a complete sunshade, but yeah, I don't know. Nothing too bad. And then for your glove box over here, it's a pretty small glove box, but it does go wide enough, so that's pretty good. And let's have a step in the rear. So here, opening up the rear, once again, push button, soft open, grab somewhere around here, and you're hopefully on the rubber, so you're a normal person per Ford's studies, and then yeah. Here in the rear, I'm about 6 feet tall, have the seat where it was, and it's pretty good knee room actually. It's good cutout here. Foot room is a little tight. My feet do bump up under here, but it's nothing too bad. This is a small SUV technically, so this is pretty decent on room in that front. Over here, you get your climate vents, and no controls back here, but that's okay. Good climate vents. You do get no 12 volt actually back here. You get a USB Type-C and a Type-A. You don't get a 12 volt port for charging, to my knowledge, so that's a very modern move forward. Full USB instead of a 12 volt, but there are some up front, so that's okay. Here your center armrest pulls down. You know, traditional, doesn't really do anything besides serve an armrest and be a cup holder, but it does well doing it, so that is cool. Over here is a little bump out for the sunroof. Nothing bad though. Headroom is pretty good. I still have a couple inches, but over here it just does cut in a little bit due to the sloping roofline. But overall it's manageable. I'm 6 feet. You could fit adults back here for some time, so that is good. Here's your trunk. Nothing to write home about, but nothing bad either. It actually is pretty good storage for the size of this with such an aggressive sloping roofline, so that is good. And you get your beautiful Ford noise. Got to appreciate it. And yeah, for my final thoughts on this POV review of a 2023 Ford Mach-e GT, I like this thing. Really, I think this is very well done. I like the styling of it. I will not call it a Mustang. In my opinion, it is not a Mustang. It's a Mach-e, and I'm fine with that. But yeah, I like this thing. Really, overall, pretty interesting interior. A nice variety of choice and materials. And giant infotainment screen definitely helps. Sketch mode is pretty funny. That might be in other Fords. I just haven't noticed it before. But I really do like this thing. Visibility is pretty good out the sides. Out the rear is definitely a challenge, but it's actually not that bad. They even included a little cutout, so that's good. I wish the sunroof had a bit of control, either a physical slider or a slider of different shade levels, like deeper shade against the sun than it has right now. I hate the front trunk. I do not care. I am really mad about the front trunk design and the lack of engineering there. That's all I can call it. I don't care what else to call it. You can't open it with your key fob. You can't open it with a button out there. You can't open it with your smartphone app, where you can use it for most of this. You have to come inside to do it. And even when you close it, a lot of the time you have to slam it, or it's not gonna close, and then you have to come back and do it again. I hate that front trunk design. I really hate it. But yeah, I need to name that. I really don't like it. But overall, besides this logo right here, I don't like it being a Mustang. I like this thing inside and out. And I don't like the wheels very much. I wish they used different wheels. I like the red brake calipers, though, from the factory is a nice little touch. This does have the Sport Tune suspension, so it rides about a half-inch lower. I don't like the Mach-e 4X logo either, though, on the side door. This doesn't really differentiate itself from a Ford Mach-e, a standard trim. So that's definitely one thing. This would be a great sleeper car. I'll drive it soon and see how powerful it is, but it's great for what it is. It's a small SUV electric vehicle. Range at 270 miles I think is okay, just because, first off, that's pretty appropriate for a range, but also with this insane amount of power, I think it's fine. That trade-off is fine. You can get a standard Mach-e if you want just fuel economy range. So that's good. And yeah, I do like this thing for the most part, except for that massive gripe of the front trunk. I really hate that. That would turn me off from possibly buying this vehicle, but I'm just bitter about it. And also, I would personally, if I owned this, I would change the Mustang pony logo over to a Ford logo. I'm not kidding. I don't like this being a Mustang. A lot of purists agree with me. A lot of people disagree with me. That's fine. But that's where I stand. But it's a pretty good mix of technology. I'm not exactly sure if it has forward collision alert with emergency braking. I don't think it does, so that's a little surprising to me. But maybe because this is more of a sports vehicle, they just didn't include it here. And these are the higher trims, though, so I'm not exactly sure if the lower trims would include it that are not a GT. I think this vehicle is a good mix of things. It has enough room to carry adults comfortably in the rear. I think it looks really stylish and good. It looks more sporty than some of the other, quote, sports SUVs, like a Tesla Model 3 or something. And a Toyota BZ4X. The Audi Q4 e-tron or Q3 e-tron, I agree though, does look really nice. So it's not alone in a field, but I think it definitely holds its own place very well, separately, but together with the others. And at $63,000, I do like the price on this actually, because although that may seem steep, average car price is still around, I don't know, $50,000, 47, 55, somewhere in there. I'm not sure with interest rates right now, but overall, I think it's a pretty good price because it's really innovative. It seems reliable. There haven't been many problems with these named yet. It seems comfortable. It seems like a normal vehicle. It doesn't seem like an electric vehicle that's weird or out there on too many ways. It's pretty understated, both inside and out, but inside is interesting in a good way. Alrighty, that'll just about wrap up this review of a 2023 Ford Mach-e GT. Make sure to check out my POV test drive coming out soon on the channel. And thank you again to Flood Ford Lincoln in Narragansett, Rhode Island, for allowing me to both review and test drive this vehicle. As always, drive with passion. Thank you very much for watching, and take care.